Hello, Steve White, Tripway 89 for Steve Arts 89. Well, Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan has been entered into the Library of Congress National Film Registry. Now, this board was established in 1988 and they only induct like 25 films a year, and they have to be culturally and artistically significant to make the cut. I don't know if they're voted on. I'm not sure if they're voted on by people or if they select a selection and then people vote on them. I'm not sure exactly how it's done. There is a board, but there does seem to be some sort of public support component. But Wrath of Khan was included. It's difficult because Wrath of Khan is not the best Star Trek film, and it's not really even a Star Trek film. It kind of was the beginning of the end for Star Trek, although it got saved and got a second win when Gene Roddenberry got control again with Next Generation. Because they kicked Gene out after Star Trek 1, and then they just hired people who've never watched Star Trek. Like, everyone goes on about how Nicholas Meyer sat down and watched all the Star Trek films, all the Star Trek shows to try and make a great film for us and everything. And no, he didn't know anything about the show. He had to watch them. And he didn't get it on any real level. He just picked up all the surface detail and made a really basic action hero film where a baddie comes back for revenge, and it's just goodies and baddies, cowboys and Indians in space, basically. Or on submarines in space, however you want to look at it. He brought in a military element to it, which has nothing to do with Star Trek. Star Trek Starfleet is not the military. We've moved beyond war and the military in that future, or had. And there's a lot of issues with it. I loved it when I was a kid. I thought it was the best one because I was stupid and didn't know any better, because I just liked, things blowing up and, space adventure and stuff. And I got it because I was a kid. I didn't know any better. As I've gotten older and grown up and realised how much, more depth there was to Star Trek and the levels it worked on, how complicated it was, I started to see how things like Wrath of Khan and Deep Space Nine betrayed those. And, Star Trek 2 was the first nail in the coffin for Star Trek, because they pulled back from what Star Trek was, pure Star Trek was, with the motion picture, and then they brought Wrath of Khan out for the masses, for the general audience. And that's why, even though it made less money than the motion picture, it cost a bit less, although they tacked on all the other costs for other TV movies and stuff they were developing before they started producing the motion picture. So it really didn't cost as much as they say, but it did cost more than Wrath of Khan. So because it made more money for the studio, they kept going. And other directors, pulled back a little bit from those sort of militaristic vengeance and that themes with Search for Spock, and particularly Voyage Home is very much a Star Trek film. The motion picture and Star Trek 4 are really the only Star Trek films out of all, 16. Even though 4 did compromise by setting a big section of the film on Earth with they did basically, fish out of water stories, so general audiences could relate to the time period that, they went to of today. So they managed to get outside of just Star Trek fans. But they did it without sacrificing Star Trek. So they worked. Whereas Wrath of Khan, it's not even a science fiction film. It's just, it could have been set on submarines or Spanish galleons or something. It wouldn't be any different. But I know everybody loves it because people get it, because a lot of people are basic and stupid and they actually don't get there's more to Star Trek than just people in spaceships shooting each other with phasers and chasing hot alien chicks. But that's the level some people operate on, and they see Star Trek on. But yeah, so happy for Star Trek on one level because it's in there, but it's not a good example of Star Trek. Star Trek 4 should have gotten in there. Star Trek 4 is more fun and colourful than the motion picture, but it's still relatable to people and the general audience. So it wins on every level. Motion picture wins on more important levels like science fiction and really, absorbing us and immersing us in Star Trek's universe. But so I think it's the better film of the two. But those are the two good films. The rest are all just villain of the week, pew pew pew, shoot up, blow up, oh we crashed the ship again, just the same old shit. I've watched every film in the cinema. I loved them. I had no idea how bad they were. I didn't really get how important Star Trek was. So I got a bit older and learned a bit more about life and a bit more about science fiction, and I appreciate it a lot more. The Cage, motion picture, Voyage Home are the only real Star Treks, and then Next Generation season 1 and 2. Once Gene was out of the production on all those counts, they compromised Star Trek. And with the original series, he had to compromise to get it on the air. He had to put in fist fights and aliens and hot chicks, but he always had the other stories underneath that people could see past the basic stuff to appreciate. The movies didn't do that outside of Wrath of Khan Voyage Home. So yeah, it's an achievement, but kind of an undermine, sort of a backhanded slap to Star Trek. It's like, hey, we're going to include you because you're important, but you're a worst example. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and